man is out walking his dog in the park when a beautiful young woman stops to admire the animal. "What's your dog's name?" she asks flirtatiously. "Herpes," replies the dog's owner. "How odd," exclaims the woman. "Why in the world did you name your dog Herpes?" The young man replies, "Because he just won't heal." A woman is picked up by a famous sportsman in a bar. They like each other and she goes back with him to his hotel room. He removes his shirt, revealing all his tattoos, and she sees that on his arm is one that reads "Rebook." She thinks that's a bit odd and asks him about it. He says, "When I play real live on TV, the cameras pick up the tattoo and Rebook pays me for advertisement." A bit later, as he takes his pants off, she sees Huma tattooed on his leg. He gives the same explanation for the unusual tattoo. Finally, the underwear comes off and she sees the word AIDS tattooed on his member. She jumped back with shock. "I'm not going to do it with a guy who has a disease." He says, "It's cool, baby. In a minute, it's going to..." There were 3 nurses in a morgue. They entered the room where they had discovered that there was a dead man lying on the bed with a hard-on. The first nurse was very forward and said, "Wow, I have never seen that before. I can't let that go to waste." After saying this, the first nurse sat and wrote it. The 12th nurse did the same. The third nurse explained that she couldn't as she was on her period. After a bit of convincing, she eventually wrote it. After 3 minutes, the man woke up. The nurses said, "What the hell? You were dead a few minutes ago." The man replied, "Yeah, I was, but I feel great now. I have had 2 jump starts and a blood transfusion." There are 3 women who always hang their laundry out in the back garden. When it rains, of course, the laundry always gets wet, all the laundry except for Brenda's. The other 2 women wonder why Brenda never has her laundry out on the days that it rains. So one day they are all out in their back gardens putting their clothes on the line when one of the women says to Brenda, "How come when it rains your laundry is never out?" "Well," says Brenda, "when I wake up in the morning I look over at Paul. If his prick is hanging over his right leg, I know it's going to be a great day and I can hang the laundry outside. If his peak is hanging over his left leg, I know it's going to rain, so I don't hang it out." "What if it is pointed up?" asks one of the women. "Well," says Brenda, "on a day like that you don't do the laundry." A woman and a man meet at a rapid dating service. The man sits down and says, "I've only got 3 questions." "Okay," replies the woman. "Do you like to clean?" he asks. "I love cleaning," she replies. "Great. Do you like to cook for other people?" "I love to cook," she says. "Fantastic," says the man. "Okay, last question. Do you like eggs?" "I like it infrequently," she replies. The man then asks, "Is that one word or..." One day, 3 sisters were at home and their mom said their boyfriends could stay the night. That night, the mom was walking throughout the hallway and heard crying from the first daughter's room. Then she heard laughter coming from the second daughter's room. However, there was no sound at all from the third daughter's room. The next day, after their boyfriends had left, the mother asked the first daughter why she was crying. Because it hurts the first time, she replied. The mother asked the second daughter why she was laughing. Because it tickled the first time. Then the mother asked the third daughter what she was doing as there was no sound from her room. The daughter answered, "But Mom, you always taught me not to talk with my mouth full." A man goes into a greasy spoon restaurant and orders a bowl of chicken soup. "What's this?" he screams. "There is a public hair in my soup. I'm not paying for it," and he storms out. The waitress gets very upset at this, follows him out and sees him go across the street. He pays the madam and retires to a room with a lovely blonde and goes down on her with guests. The waitress bursts in and yells, "You complain about a hair in your soup and then come over here and do this?" He lifts his head, turns to her and says, "Yeah, and if I find a noodle in here, I'm not paying for it either." Jack is on his deathbed and he says to his wife, "Can you give me one last wish?" She says, "Anything you want, honey. What is your last wish?" He says, "After I die, will you marry Larry?" She says, "But I thought you hated Larry." "Wish his last breath." She says, "I..." A woman who is cheating finds a fault with her husband. A woman is in bed with her lover who also happens to be her husband's best friend. They have sex for hours and afterward, while they're just laying there, the phone rings. Since it is the woman's house, she picks up the receiver. Her lover looks over at her and listens, only hearing her side of the conversation. She is speaking in a cheery voice. "Hello? Oh, hi. I'm so glad that you called." "Really? That's wonderful. I'm so happy for you." "That sounds terrific. Great. Thanks. Okay, bye." She hangs up the telephone and her lover asks, "Who was that?" "Oh," she replies, "that was my husband telling me all about the wonderful time he is having on his fishing trip with you."